My name is Adam, and for the last decade, I have been restructuring how we investigate the paranormal.
I've been told there are demons here. I don't even believe in that.
My obsession with hauntings has led to my ownership of two of our country's historical and most haunted locations. I rewrote the paranormal grid by partnering with some of the most influential investors in order to save buildings' histories from destruction. Along this journey, my friends and I will recreate events of the past.
I got a bed for you!
To awaken the dead.
I love you!
And bridge the gap between science and psychic phenomena. Follow me as we continue to find and call the resident undead.
Welcome, everyone. It's another Sunday night here. As you can tell, Russ is not with me tonight. He is in pain, so send him some healing and some love. He will be back next week and hopefully tomorrow night with his show, Compass of Curiosities. Tonight, I'm super excited. I have the one and only Adam Kimmell on tonight. I've tried for over a year to get this guy on the show, and I'm super excited to finally have him on. Adam, he owns Madison Seminary, he owns Fairfield, he works with Haunted Indiana State Sanitarium, and Billy Creek, and many other locations. I've been to two. I've been to Madison and I've been to Fairfield, and I love those two locations. So I'm super excited to get down and nitty with Adam about the paranormal and his beliefs. So let's bring him on. There we are. Hello, Mr. Adam.
Hello again, Jenny. And thank you. I know I was telling you in the queue, I'm the worst. Like, this was a year in the making, and yes, here we are finally. It was a solid play to go to Addie. And I tell everybody, I'm like, because Addie's usually 10 feet away from me at all given times. I'm like, just message her. You'll get it done. I'm really bad at checking my messages. So
I know. The only time I really talk to you is on TikTok when you're Facebook, you're live. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I got to do one of those tonight.
Out at your location, so.
Well, yeah, it's normally a busy life, and I did this to myself. So, like, this started back in 2010, same time you got into the game, right? Because I was actually surprised we've never met before.
I know, right?
Right. It's like really odd, but in the paranormal, it's like 1 degree of separation. We all know each other through Facebook, and like I was telling you, I meet so many teams, and I assume that I've already met people. And they're always like, "Hey, this is the first time we've actually met," because I'm talking like I know them and stuff. So I get it. I totally get it. Only 1 degree of separation, though.
1 degree, and hopefully we'll fix that in May when I come back to Madison.
Yeah, you're saying that. Yeah, we just talked about those dates, and I'm always floating back and forth, jumping between Fairfield and Madison, and I catch a lot of people a lot. When I'm swinging by.
Yeah.
So.
I went to Fairfield last May for the first time, and then we got stuck in Ohio. So my friend's like, "Hey, you need to go check out Madison. Contact Addie and get a day tour with Shelly." And Addie was able to get that all set up. So I was super excited because Russ, who is my co-host, had been like the home team before you bought it.
Yeah, Russ was very familiar with Madison.
Yes, very familiar with Madison, and he. Like all the time I've known Russ, he's like, "You need to go check out Madison. You have to go because that is like one of the best locations in the U.S." And I'm like, "Well, I'm stuck in Ohio. What's not better to do than go check out Madison?" And then I've been to Indiana State Sanitarium on a day tour, which I'll go back in June for a night investigation. So I'm super excited.
And I would love if we could get Madison and Fairfield to those levels. Like, to do daytime all the time is tough.
Oh yeah,
it's sporadic. If the numbers were there, because we're constantly booked.
Oh yeah, you guys are booked all the time.
Oh God, it's even through the winter. This is the first winter where we have every single weekend booked. Uncle Tony, I just saw Uncle Tony. I'm actually seeing the chat here now. So
yay.
Yeah. So no, we're booked this is the first winter that every single Friday and Saturday. I don't think we have an open one until March, which is great because I lower the prices
Yeah.
dramatically. Um, so and that helps paranormal teams. When we
Mhm.
talk about owners that there are many owners in the game, I think they just collect your money. There was the
Yeah.
guy back who used to own Prospect Place, or I don't know what his story was. George Adams, he was the one that inspired me. I would have taken the right path anyway, but like you talk about some
Yeah.
heavy inspiration, is he never put anything into that building. And now with the team that's there, the Historical Society, a lot of great people are there doing great stuff. They're making all that money go to where it needs to go. So when you have someone who actually cares about the paranormal in the captain's chair, that helps dramatically.
Oh yeah.
And
Definitely.
try to make it as accommodating as you can for all the teams. But like I was saying about the day tours, I was hanging out with Greg one day. I think it was in October because I'll go down there for like a week to handle Covered Bridge. But
Mhm.
like I think I was there before it started, and the day roamers that come in, and Addie can give you the solid numbers. But like I think with the time I was sitting chatting with Greg for not even like 45 minutes, I'm not even exaggerating. I think maybe 75 people had checked in just to do the day roaming.
Wow.
And I think it was like a Wednesday too. I was out there with him. It was like a day early before we all start, and it's been a success story out there, but it wasn't even a question of that happening. Yeah, there she is, Indiana
Yep.
State Sanatorium.
I,
Addie does all the management out there, so when you reach out to book, it's Addie as well. We keep
Yep.
everything aligned.
Oh, me
Yeah.
and Addie have been talking a lot because I have Indiana State Sanitarium booked. I have Madison booked. Trying to figure out another day to go back to Fairfield because that was crazy night. Besides the bats trying to knock my head off of the neck.
Yeah, bat country out there.
Yes, bat
Like,
country for sure.
I know you're gonna see the most bat activity out in Adams Hall, on those floors. They could be anywhere, but I know whenever I'm there, like on that ground floor,
Mhm.
yeah, they're out there. They're just
Oh,
rats
fun! I
with
can't wait.
wings.
Yeah,
You're gonna
I,
love it though to do an
well,
investigation.
yeah. Like I said, we did just like a free roam of Indiana because we were at Ashmore. We had some time to kill, so we're like, it's only like an hour from Ashmore. Let's just go hang out at Indiana State and just
Mhm.
walk around.
Yeah,
'Cause
how far is it from Ashmore? Because I was talking to
I think it was less than
Rob
an
and Tara
hour.
about.
Less
Is it
than an
less
hour.
than an hour? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I talked to
and
him
at
like a
that
year and a half ago.
yeah, and at that time we didn't know Billy Creek was right outside of Indiana State either.
Like
So
3 minutes. 3
yeah,
minutes down the
I'm
road.
like, will we go in June? I'm like, okay, I just want to go for just a walk around. Like that's all I want to do. Like
Mhm.
it's like right
Mhm.
there. Why not?
Yeah, no. So it's great. And it's like we're remapping the paranormal. Like there are a lot of enthusiasts that love this stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm married to the game now. Like married, when you get to a certain level, like I see people leave the paranormal a lot, they get frustrated.
Yeah,
And this
but
really
they
comes down to the
never
question.
leave.
Yeah, they don't really leave. Like we'll see you in a month, buddy. We'll see
Yeah,
you in
we'll
a
see you
month.
in a month or two. We'll see you at the next
Yeah.
Spirit-Con. You're
Yeah,
gonna
next
have
Aragon.
these. Yeah.
And some people do have legitimate reasons for leaving, but it's interesting because I think 90% of the time it's just people looking for attention,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Hey, look at me, I'm leaving. I'm so angry. Talk me back into it." Like you don't need to be talked back into it. You either want
No.
to be here or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. And when I fell in love with Madison, I'd been there. 2010 was the first time. 2014 was the second time I filmed there, and then 2016 was the night where I took the owner's son outside and was like, "What's it gonna take to buy this place?" You know.
Yeah.
And but it's weird how life takes weird turns. I went to college for 5 years, studying political science, international security, and counterterrorism. Sounds great on paper.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's great
great.
on paper, right?
And I was always intrigued by that, and I did think I wanted to get into politics, and I always loved history and things like that. So, but it was interesting because I always tell skeptics. I always tell them that story because like I love meeting skeptics, and I'm not the person to be like, well, you're gonna believe no matter what. Never.
Hmm.
I think with skeptics, you'll find at your own time if you'd like. If you're looking hard enough, doing the research, and actually putting yourself in the environment to investigate, there's going to be stuff that's going to intrigue you. And for me, I had watched all the TV shows. I thought they were all garbage. They were all fake. And they probably, most of them are garbage and all fake. but with every little bit of truth, there's something. And all it took was one EVP in a cemetery back by my parents' place in Pennsylvania. I get this one EVP, a garbled EVP, Class A. It was clear to hear this man's voice. He was like, "Help me."
Oh
And I was
wow.
like, "Oh shit." And then all of a sudden I was like, well, there may be validity to these TV shows. Because actually the first one I saw was Paranormal State. This was back like in
Oh yep.
2003.
Yep.
And Ryan Buell's like intro comes up. And I was just, it was one late night. I was watching TV, knew nothing of the paranormal. And the intro, I remember my eyes were wide. And I was like, what does he do? What does he do? And it's not like, your normal shows like,
Mm-hmm.
my name's so-and-so. I'm going to take you around the country and we're going to taste all the food at these bars. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, I get that show concept. This one was like, during the day, I'm a student at Penn State. And at night, I have a society of ghost hunters and all this. And I was like, what? Never, as you're a kid, you read ghost stories.
Oh
Never
yeah.
thought anything of
Right?
it. But this is like active on the field. You're going out there and you're looking for ghosts. I'm like, oh shit, I'll watch. And
Yeah.
Paranormal State was interesting, but like, and you can gauge people in this community. I love seeing the passion out there, and that's the one thing that keeps my drive way alive. Like I love this stuff, but a double passion is seeing all the people that are eagerly excited as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to create an infrastructure that allows us to preserve history and allow furthering the research of the field. And
Oh,
that's
definitely.
where
Yep.
this plan comes in, right? So it's working. So, look at
There's
patience.
patience.
I got no patience for patience. Some girl.
She was awesome. I love her. She was the tour guide at Fairfield for us.
She is what they would say a hoot.
Yes.
Patience,
definitely.
everybody. So yeah,
Love
she's
her.
great. She's great.
Oh, definitely.
And the people you even meet in this, like a lot of the times, I don't do open recruitment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you won't see something on Facebook very rarely, because at Fairfield we were looking for some additional help. But I like to do this strategy where I let the buildings call the groups in, call the people in, and see
Yep.
who vibes. Because if you want a very successful team of people to help you run a building,
It
we
has
all
to
have
vibe
to
with you.
vibe. You
Yep.
got to vibe with all of us. Have to vibe. We run it like a democracy. We talk to everybody. I feel it out with everybody that's there, and it takes a good while. Because in the beginning, when I had Madison, man, everybody and their mother, I want to help you. I want to help you.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So we had the Hunger Games, right?
Oh
Where
my God.
you see who's really there, and it takes time. And
Yep.
this is real talk. Let's no BS around the corners here. This is real talk of how you establish good people. Is you see who really wants to be there and who doesn't, and who's just for whatever agenda. Now I've talked about this. There are when you hear the word agenda, people are
Yeah.
like, well, agendas are bad. That's not exactly true. There are good agendas and bad agendas with people. And you just got to feel people out, because if you want to be a part of this mission and you want to do something great, that's a great agenda. And it's a forever project. We're not going
Yep.
anywhere. Like I'm in it. I will never sell the buildings. I've said this. We can date back. I have so many logs of publicly saying this. I've been offered insane amounts of money for those locations. I've had realtors call in, especially after Rona,
Yeah.
when we did the nationwide Hunger Games. I had this nursery call in, and it wasn't even like, I think the lockdown happened in March, right? And by April, I'm getting a call. It was one of the local nurseries out there, and Tony, we're looking for people. We're looking for people. So Tony's out there all the time. Tony keeps your parking under control at Madison. We do flashlight tours, because if you've been into a Walmart parking lot, you know how bad it can get.
Yeah.
Tony prevents that from happening behind Madison. But yeah, I get a call from a nursery out there, and their first offer was $650,000
Oh wow.
for the location. Now I'm tickled. I'm a Leo, so like
Oh, I'm a Leo
fawning.
too.
Yeah, I can tell. And
That's
so
why
I
we
was
get
like,
along so well.
I was dragging the conversation out, and I was like, yeah, how much? How much though? How much? And they were like, our offer is 650. That's just their low line.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's great to hear, but not selling, but I let it build up to that, because I'm curious what others think the value is, because this is a building that no one had interest in on the commercial sector, the paranormal loved
Oh
it.
yeah.
Even before I got there were people investigating it. But it's interesting when there she is. There she is.
Mhm.
God. So, um, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of landscaping out there. Is this a picture you took?
Yes, in
I was
May.
gonna say this is last year because there are a few changes
Yes,
that I've made in
last
the
May.
last year. Yeah.
Yes. I
So no,
Mhm.
but anyway, I don't know where the hell I was on that. Oh yeah, but people's value. It's interesting because we need to protect these buildings.
Oh, definitely.
And when you hear that we're losing buildings all the time, and
Mhm.
if this was to be lost, let's say in some timeline where I sucked as a person, and it was taken away and it was sold, they would knock this down, and two things would happen. It would either continue to be a nursery, or they'd make a Dollar General out of it, right?
Yeah.
So the outcomes are not good. We're in that one universe that Doctor Strange talks about. Like there's one winning probability out of 14 million. Well, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen, we're in that winning scenario.
Yeah, definitely. So, since we're talking about Madison, what is the history of Madison for people who haven't been or want
hmm
to know more about it to be
So
able
the
to
hist
book it?
yeah, the history is rich. I'll give a quick overview because there is so much that has been compiled
Yeah.
and put together. But a basic overview is you're looking at about roughly. Let me tread lightly. I get Fairfield and Madison mixed up because one is 150, one's 170. 1847 is where Madison dates back to. It's most prominently known in the beginning as a school for elite boys, or that's been said, but it's all controversial because then they were saying the girls got mixed from Geneva. There was a fire
Mhm.
there. So that first structure that's on the left of our screen here, that would have been where they housed the students. There would have been a separate structure for that's been knocked down. I know there was a barn behind that. There's been separate cottages. You had the
Mhm.
Whittemire cottage. I'm getting ahead of myself. That was the school. At the turn of the century, the Women's Relief Corps would purchase that structure on the left, and shortly after this would be constructed and finished in 1906, is what the cornerstone says. Now, the Women's Relief Corps was taking in widows from the Civil War. And if your husband or brother or some kind of male caretaker couldn't, you just needed extra assistance, you could stay at this facility, and it was very elegant.
Mhm.
And um, when you hear about what they were doing, and even on the records, like these women all had nice Victorian dresses on. They did tea parties. Um, that top floor of the Ohio cottage was actually where their laundry was done. So they would have been hanging out all their Victorian dresses there. And then uh, you have someone very, very famous that stayed there, Elizabeth Stiles. Actually, I got my Elizabeth
Yes.
Stiles box here behind me.
Ooh.
Um, So I turned it on so you can see. Um, but Elizabeth Stiles originally is from Ashtabula, Ohio, which is not too far from Madison.
Yeah.
That's where she resided from originally. She'd find herself in the Missouri-Kansas border as a school teacher. She has, this is right as the Civil War is about to pop off.
Mhm.
She was a school teacher and she was intercepted by three members of the Quintrell gang, at least how the story goes. This is all a story passed down.
Yeah, stories. Yep.
She's intercepted by them. Now, if you haven't heard of the Quintrell gang, you have indirectly Jesse James. He
I was
was
gonna say
a
Justin James, isn't
Yep,
it?
yep, Jesse James. That was his gang, and he was not involved in this altercation, but they had assaulted Elizabeth. Basically, tried to pull the flag from her. She was carrying the American flag to the schoolhouse because every morning she would raise it. But
Yep.
this morning she was intercepted. There was an altercation. She did get away from them and proceeded back to the school. So I don't know how. When I say like an altercation, it could have been just verbal squabbling.
Verbal. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, they said if we see you with that flag again, there will be trouble. Anyway, the next day, in the complete badassery that Elizabeth is,
She did it.
she
Yep.
does it again. There was no altercation that day. That night, there was a knock at the cabin door. Elizabeth's husband, Mr. Stiles, would answer the door, and there were two Union officers standing there. They said to him, "What's your politics?" And Mr. Stiles says, "Union." Well, one of them picks up a 6-shooter, aims it right at him, shoots him point blank in the face, kills him, and he's dead. The story goes again, they walked on top and put the revolver in his mouth, shot him again. Elizabeth is in this small cabin, so you can only imagine what she's seeing.
Yeah, right.
And the story goes that he picks up the revolver to aim it at her. The other guy says, stop. She's too pretty to shoot. And she was spared. Now, because of this altercation, your husband was just murdered in cold blood in front of you, right? You can only imagine
What you
Elizabeth's
go through.
vengeance.
Yeah.
hmm She decides that she's going to work directly for the Union as a spy, and the stories are incredible. I feel cheap as I'm saying this because Shelly, our main tour guide, she gets nervous when I walk on the tours, but my God, does she give an incredible,
She's amazing.
detailed tour. She is incredible.
Yes.
And she
she's
goes into
incredible.
the depths of like Elizabeth behind enemy lines. She gets caught. She tells them she's a double agent. I'm actually working for you. The Union thinks I'm working for them. She
Mhm.
would bring back battle plans, horses, ammunition, and she would take it back directly to Abraham Lincoln. That's how prestigious in the ranks she became.
Yep.
She was our most valuable spy. In her final resting days, in her final days, she would be at Madison here, and she passed away in 1898, and she's buried in the cemetery right next door. So she was right there, right before the Ohio. She would have never been there when the Ohio Cottage was there. It wasn't constructed yet. She was in the structure we're seeing on the left. I do not know which room she passed away in. We dedicated one room. Shelley put together a room, and it's incredible. So
It's incredible. When I walked through that, it was like I now know why Russ and you love Madison so much. Like just that history, and you can just feel the spirits as soon as you walk in.
It's man, it's weird. You know, we visit a lot of places, but for some reason, I can come up with maybe the most logical is that we all become very tied to some of the first locations we go to in the field,
Yeah.
right? Like think about it, like that first place is very special. The first time you go on a real paranormal investigation, that means a lot. Like that sticks with you. Like Velisca was my first.
Velisca was my first out of
state, right?
investigation, which I have an EVP I will play later on the show when we get to Velisca. I think I've sent it to you before, but I don't remember. It's really creepy, and I want your opinion on it.
I love creepy.
Velisca is creepy. That was my first out of state one.
And then those are special, and it's how it works. And Madison was like the third investigation. Hey, Christopher. So, hey, Robert. So there were 3 locations I think I did prior to that. There was we would have had Hillview Manor out because I grew up like 20 minutes from Hillview Manor, but I did a public ghost hunt, so it wasn't that intimate. When you do a private, it's much different than a public, right? And so I did that. Madison was the third one that I would technically count because we don't count cemeteries, right? So let's just go right to Madison as the first real investigation, sitting down. I did Velisca prior to that, but again, Madison was okay. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. Velisca was first, then I went to Madison, and you just got all this. It's just that I remember that was 2010. It was such like a weird time, like a good time. Like we're getting heavy into this stuff. It was just good. And I remember it was weird because people were like, what made you fall in love with Madison? And it sounds so ridiculous. It was not the haunting. It was it was the magic hour. This is 2010, first time.
Yep.
The magic hours happening. I think we filmed in December because we're stupid. It was December or January. We're stupid. Like, don't go to Madison in the winter. Why do you think I reduced the prices?
Don't do any investigation in the winter time.
There's a reason I reduced the prices because like you may freeze to death. And so like we're there in January, and the way the sun sets at that time, it's a little different, right? So it hits the east corner through the window, and the windows there are very old. They're like those old ruled windows. So they create this majestic blue light down the hallway. And I remember just like, wow, the excitement. I'm like, I'm going to ghost hunt this place tonight. This is going to be awesome. Like, this place is like just awesome. And this royal blue light is just on the floor, just like there. And I just was mesmerized. I was supposed to be filming B-roll. Hey, Peggy Goodell, she saw a shadow figure with me on a Friday the 13th public ghost hunt.
Oh,
I still
wow.
reference that story all the time because anyone's like, what's the scariest thing you saw at Madison? And I was like, not scary, but it made me like, wow, like it jumped.
Made you go, wow.
We saw a full-blown shadow person at the end of the hallway. It was lightning. It was a lightning storm. This is fast forwarding to like 2022, 2021. I don't remember. And lightning storm, lightning flashes, lights up the whole hallway. And at the end of the hallway, there is this figure just like half out with an arm hanging down, and then it just zipped away really quick. But you saw it. You saw it. Like, holy shit. So Madison's just a treat. And I love, like, what I love doing anytime I go back and forth. The first day I'm back, I've remodeled the back house to like my guest house where I stay, or, where Shelly will stay when the tours are there. And I'll just walk through the building casually, just looking around, just taking it in. It's just awesome. It never gets old. And I still to today still can't realize I own the place. It doesn't click. If anyone asks, like, what's it feel like? I still don't feel like I own it. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like a little kid on Christmas morning.
Yeah. Every day is like Groundhog's Day. I'm like, whoa, wait, I own this place. This is crazy.
You own this
But
place,
yeah, so it's cool. It's cool.
So what kind of paranormal experiences can you get at Madison for people who haven't been?
A little bit of everything. I get this all the time. This gets into those deep theories because I hate the mainstream television shows because they're so. I understand this isn't for any PR like cushioning. I could care less. I don't even care if another TV show ever comes again. It doesn't matter. Madison is so popular, we don't need it.
Yeah.
But there are some good TV shows out there. I don't even actually know what I'm talking about. I totally just made that up. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I always like to talk about the foreign and domestic haunting. And this is what I think is really happening is like the activity ramps up and there's like really unusual activity. We get EVPs of names that I have no idea what they are. But you really think about this, and this is happening all over the US. It's not just Madison. I think we're not acknowledging it well enough that the more we investigate a location, we're contaminating the said location, right?
Yeah.
We're bringing in attachments. We're bringing
in other energies from other locations and other people.
And we're staining our own energy.
That energy, yep.
Correct. So like you have stone tape theory. I love the theory of stone tape theory is that, I think investigators have to remember, let's say time of a haunting is limited, right? Because it's interesting, like how far back in a haunting can you communicate? Is it constantly rotating and there's small windows of opportunity?
Yep.
Or is it like a long, like a security recording that only can record so long before the last
a tape recorder, yeah.
Right. And it keeps cycling, right? So every time a team investigates, it is possible that they're erasing the last longest part of the haunting with their own imprint now.
Yep.
So that's interesting that we try to pinpoint an exact haunting. We may be actually eliminating the haunting and becoming the haunting ourselves. Because these people didn't do anything special here. They existed and they made the place haunted, right? And that gets into another deep conversation we can get into. But when it comes to everything, the shadow play, this has your classic stuff. You have shadow play, you have the disembodied voices. I haven't heard those as much. I think it's because after a while you become desensitized. I just am working on the building.
Yeah.
There have been times where I've heard doors open and I am convinced Shelly's there or one of the crew have shown up and I don't even think of it. And then like 5 to 10 minutes later, I'm like, I should go check.
You're alone.
Yeah, I'm alone, but like, crew shows up sometimes and I'll look and I totally played off. I'm like, man, that was a paranormal account that I like. Just stuff like that happens because of my head. I'm like, I assume that's a real person coming in. And there was one time I was fixing the water line in the bathroom. I was putting in a new water line. So I'm underneath the sink. I'm fixing the pipes. And clear as day, I hear the middle hallway door. When you come into the lobby, and then you have to go through the next door to get into the middle hallway to go either Civil War or Ohio Cottage.
Yes.
I hear that door because it's right around the corner to the bathroom. I hear the door handle very aggressively jiggled open. I hear it slide and I hear it close. And I'm like, that's crew. I didn't even
It has
didn't
to
even
be the
hesitate.
coop,
That's
right?
crew. That's crew. And now I'm waiting though. I'm waiting because I'm underneath this pipe. I'm waiting for someone to go down that ramp. And I'm waiting for about 10 minutes, still minding my own business, crimping this line. And I'm like, what the shit? So I finally get up. I check my phone real quick. There's a camera that hits the back parking lot. I load it up. There's no cars in there except mine. I'm like, oh no, not this again. And I got out there, the door's closed. Had I not heard it, I would have never known because the door opened and closed.
Close,
So
yeah.
it would have looked the same way when I left it. Anyway, that stuff happens all the time. Now it's not like all the time where you get people thinking like this place must be active. There have been days I've walked through it during the day, experienced nothing. There's nights where nothing happens, like the paranormal isn't something
That you could
that
turn
just
on.
exactly it doesn't work like that. And the problem with a lot of shows now, like a lot of the mainstream shows, they hype it up so hard.
Hmm.
And there are YouTube shows out there, as you
Yep.
can see, I'm a demonologist. I just got
Yes,
my
demonologist
certificate.
Adam.
I just got my certificate about 10 minutes ago before we got in. I answered 10 questions and they printed it over to me.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm in the club now. I guess the only way I'm going to be able to debate a demonologist is just to be one myself. So
Has
what I'm
anyone
getting at
taken
though,
you up for that offer on TikTok to come and talk
no,
demonology with you?
no, it's been crickets out there. And I want to make that offer again is that I am looking for 2 demonologists. The ones I'm looking for, I found them on TikTok and now the name slipped me. Antoine I don't remember. It's a young dude and a kid. He did the blessings outside of the Warren's Legacy.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I
yeah,
think
I
I
don't
know.
remember. Antoine, Anthony, Annette. That's it. I think it's Anthony Annette or something. I would love to debate him and give him a free offer to investigate the Fairfield County Infirmary after the show's over. And I want these guys to know, any demonologist that will take the offer is, I'm looking for. We're not sending you to the firing squad, okay? I just think that we are scaring people for clickbait and things like that. I'm very scientific. I'm like, if Iron Man was in the game, like I gotta observe and see. And I grew up Roman Catholic. I get it.
Yeah.
I am not. I do not. Everyone grows up into something. I am not anything right now. If anything, I'm a humanitarian. I just believe in helping people and doing what's right. But so I understand the game and all that, but I think you should keep religion out of the paranormal until you have definitive proof it's even existing, and there is really no way. But I've heard the counter
No.
arguments. You can't prove or deny the existence of demons, right?
Hmm.
Valid, but we would also be the only field of research that has religion within it, because I don't know if biologists have that, mathematicians, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's anyway, but these people that would show up for the interview, you would not be met by the firing squad. You would be met by myself and one surprise co-host who, if they're intimidated of the counter arguments that are coming in the intelligence, it's not me you should worry about. It is the second I'm bringing with me, because anything I miss, if I even have a chance to join in the conversation, like I guess I'll pick up the scraps, because I have someone that would make this conversation very interesting.
Ooh.
But again,
I hope
guys, it's like
someone
a
picks you
pay-per-view
up for
fight that
this.
might not come.
Yeah. I
Well,
hope
I just
someone
think,
picks you up for it.
and there have been a lot of people that have argued this. So like, I'm not naming these names because they were saying it out of like worry. They were
Hmm.
like, do you feel you're being reckless? Like, it's all social politics, right? Everybody's
Yep.
connected. And I get it, but this is also a time to reset and let's get the field back to like a logical approach. We're never going to be taken seriously. And call me egotistical, a narcissist, whatever. I've been labeled everything. But if I'm going to be a part of this community, then it's going to be taken seriously. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, I don't want to be a part of some loser squad that no one wants to take seriously because it just looks like a mess, like a
Oh,
pseudoscience where
definitely.
people are thinking, you have demons here at this place and
Demons
like
everywhere.
demons everywhere. But I get it. I understand for content creators that have to survive. Why Like, okay, well, this is going to go deep. We're taking this route. We're going here. So
Let's go.
why I have a residual income. I am protecting the building. There is a residual income coming in from teams investigating, right?
Hmm.
So I have multiple locations. I do side stuff as well. Like, so I have multiple streams of revenue. My sole income is not content creation. Even when I did Resident Undead, and I still do Resident Undead, that's still active. Again, you got
Yeah.
the hoodie, it's still active. I do that stuff. There are a lot of episodes where I don't monetize. I don't monetize it, and that I've seen content creators like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't care. It's about the love of the game. It's about the love of the mission and the storytelling and sharing history."
Definitely.
And
Sharing the history of things.
sharing
Yeah.
the history, like I love it. The stories are great, and then it's also telling your own story. Like a haunting. What is a haunting? A haunting is you're also a page within that chapter of that book.
Hmm.
So I love the storytelling of Resident Dead of like what's happening while we're there, because it may mean nothing to the team after or the team before. That is what happened to us on that night, and that is our footnote in history.
Yep.
So that's what you have to take away from it. Perhaps I'm ahead of the curve, and 50 years from now, someone will see this interview and be like, dude, bro's got it. He gets it. Because I think the people that do the demon stuff, and I'm not even saying I'm thinking, I know why you do it. Your sole source of income as a content creator is to get as many views as you can,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yep.
So what do you have to do? You got to play dirty. When you mix entertainment and science together, it's going to get ugly.
It's gonna
So-
get really ugly. Yeah.
I'm not funded by this. My project is completely solo. There is only one production company I would work with that I've ever met to make a TV show. And that is a conversation for another time with NDAs I've signed. But there's trash companies that I would never work with. I'm not looking for a TV show. If the lightning struck and you see me on TV, it's because I made a deal with one production company that is so straight and narrow and gets it. They are like a clone of the way I think. And the way with Resident Undead is, it's an enjoyable adventure. There's no hype. I never tell the audience, is this
What to believe and what.
Yeah,
Yep.
make your own conclusion. Like I'm giving you the battle plans of what we see, but I do not force feed. In this room there's absolutely a demon and this and that and scariest night of my life. But again, I get it. Like these teams, they have to do that.
Yeah.
They need that to survive, and I understand. But you will regret that decision when the field, our
So-
side of thinking overweighs it. It's basically
Yeah.
Jedi versus Sith, And basically at this
Definitely.
point in the time of the game, Order 66, all the Jedi are fleeing because we're outnumbered because there's demonologists everywhere. But I am a Jedi that can walk both sides, as you can see from my tag. I'm a demonologist, so I'm a Jedi that understands Sith. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I rambled. I'm sorry. I'm
No
sorry. I
worries.
need notes. I don't know what you're talking. You probably asked me what my favorite color was, and I was like, "We're demonologists. Let's go."
So here's an idea or like a theory. Like when you're on an investigation, do the spirits believe that they're investigating us for the future or whatever? Like, are we living their future and they're living their life? Like, I don't know if I described that correctly, but like,
No, you did. I get exactly what you're saying.
like
Um,
what do you believe the spirits think we are doing when we come into their location? Like, do they believe that they're seeing the future with us in it, or are we their ghosts that are coming into their place?
See, now you can tell I'm a fake demonologist because the demonologist will be like, "Well, it's just demons. There's none of that happening." All right. So yes, that is such a good loaded question. I've thought about this. Actually, I've been dabbling with the idea for a while, and it was Kalani had brought it again up, and I was like, we've talked about this, but we do rabbit hole talk all the time. It's like, is the future, the past, and the present all happening at the same time? Right? Time is a human construct. I know that's going to blow someone's mind right now. They're like, what? I'm like, yes. Humans created, calendars. We watched the rotation of the sun. Time was merely created so, like, Jenny, like you and I, like, hey, meet at 8:45, and we're going to do this. Because without time, there's no reference of anything to how do we do stuff. It's just like when the sun maybe goes there has to be a reference. Therefore, this is a human construct. Now, knowing that time doesn't exist. So is it possible there are, wow, Jenny, I didn't know we were going to do this. This is when I need my sketchboard behind me. But like, there could be multiple layers of everything happening. You've experienced deja vu before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big Star Trek fan. Like I'm a nerd. I won't even hide it because I'm like really beefed for a Star Trek nerd. Like I'm not afraid to be talked about. But love Star Trek, and they would talk about this all the time, like multiple timelines, layers of timelines happening. You've heard of the multiverse theory. Einstein touched on this, that there are multiple things happening all the time. You've had effects of the Mandela effect that we've all heard, that we've like shifted into another reality. Take all of this in that I'm throwing in your face right now and be like, is it far-fetched to think that everything is happening over and over again? Like when we feel deja vu, it's just because we were aware of it. Like, oh, I feel like I've done this before, but I know I haven't. Like I can't remember who I was talking
I do it all the
to.
time. I do it all
Right?
the time.
I was talking to someone and I froze in conversation, and I had to have freaked them out. I said, we've talked about this before. And I know I hadn't. It was like first time meeting them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I freaked out for a second. I'm like, no, we've done this. You were standing right there. I'm even getting chills right now.
It's
You
like
can't even see on the
psychic
camera.
dreaming, like you're dreaming it at night and then it comes true like
That's a possibility that
day later, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's already like recorded. We know what's going to happen. But to get back to that question, yes. One of the theories, and Kalani had touched on this. For those who doesn't know Kalani, big on TikTok and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He came out, we were rabbit hole talking, and we were talking about like, when you're communicating with spirits, is it possible that you're talking to the gifted ones of the past?
Mm-hmm.
That there's still a lag in time where the voices they hear in their head is actually future investigators trying to communicate with them, and they think they're crazy. You look at a psych ward and you got people that hear voices in their head. No, you actually have the frequency to the future to speak to them. And it's interesting when you start talking to them, telling them they're not crazy. What are you doing? I'm going to work. Like, can you give us a little bit of your time? No. And it's like probably because you're like walking to work and you're like, not the voices again.
Not the voices.
You're trying to tell them, no, you're not crazy. We are from the year 2024. What year are you from? And it's like, if you can get them to entertain that, it is interesting. But now, here's the other dilemma. I have to be a realist. Is it possible that we get mimics that want to play and they're like just messing with us, that they just know an answer we want? But then again, mimics still confirm paranormal activity. But can we always trust what we receive on the EVP or over the SB7 or a Fentbox? We don't know at the end of the day who's talking back. The most common accepted belief is there's the dead. And most people are like, well, it's demons. Everything you're talking back to is a demon. Okay. We'll keep you in a subcategory as a possibility because we have to keep everything in the realm of possibility.
Yep.
But you're not a very big possibility. What the other possibility is interdimensional beings. We could be talking to that. We could be talking to time travelers.
Yeah, you never know.
We never know because it could be aliens. It sounds far-fetched, but you're messing with planes of existence, frequencies.
You don't even know.
Even Tesla had said when he was doing his experiments with the Tesla coil, he said he was communicating with aliens. Now, but take that back. We have to break down what Tesla said, and you are limited by the technology and understanding of your time. You can only create reality to what we know, right? If someone said to Tesla, "Oh my God, you're about to open a portal," he would be like, "The hell is a portal?" Because that terminology doesn't exist. We know what a portal is, but if we saw technology from the future, we can only describe it the way we understand technology now.
Yep.
Like try to explain a computer to someone at the turn of the century that's riding in on a horse and buggy. You can't.
Or like
you can't.
If you go to, let's say, Sheboygan Asylum out in Wisconsin. We did an investigation there, a public investigation with Richard Estep, and that guy is amazing. Like that, his job is in the medical field, so he's popping out these medical terms left and right, and that's how the interactions were going because they knew from that, because he was pulling stuff from that time period of when that building was open. He was pulling terminal words and medical usage and medicine. But if someone asked about like amoxicillin or like some of these newer drugs or tools or whatever, the activity would die because spirits don't know what
Yes.
the new equipment is or the new meds. But Richard over here is doing all the time period words and medicine and equipment. So spirits are knowing of what he's asking.
Correct. And that's exactly right. It's why we really stand by the ripples in time that we do on the show.
Mhm.
And that was created because, again, I'm a simple science ape. I'm observing and I'm thinking, if I was trapped here, and let's say I wasn't able to communicate with anyone, I'm on my own plane of existence. There could be other spirits there. I just can't see them, right?
Yep.
But yet I can communicate with the realm of the living. And I would think after a while I might forget my name and things like that. But I think what's powerful to them, well, this comes over too. It's like you and I passed away at Sheboygan, right?
Yeah.
And over 100 years, I'm like, Jenny, do you want to knock on the wall? Because I knocked on the wall last night.
That's what they probably think of us when they're like, oh, that's
Like we're like, we don't
Yeah.
understand how to reincarnate. We don't understand how to get out of this. We're stuck here. And like now we got to take this to the face all the time. Because I've told teams, I'm like, be intriguing. Assume they've heard everything and try to like
beat it or lever it up.
Or go into a realm of conversation. Like I get crazy with them. This is the kind of talking we're doing now is what I talk when I'm there alone. I'm like, so guys, let's talk about thermodynamics and the first law that you cannot create or destroy energy.
Yeah.
Connor, baby, everybody. I don't know how that we got paranormal encounters here. Connor's
amazing. I adore him.
Connor's another very passionate dude. He gets it.
Definitely.
Definitely. So we're talking about like oh God, this could get so deep real quick, Jenny. Let's tiptoe. Let's tiptoe on this because we're about to go down a rabbit hole.
We could tiptoe and then have another show about that. Yeah.
It's this is rabbit hole. Like a real conversation of the paranormal is like theories, and it's okay. No theory is law. It's okay. And I get a lot of scrutiny. People attack. They're like, your ideas are stupid. I'm like, your face is stupid. Okay, I don't care. I'm throwing these ideas out, and they're all subject to change. But during the current observation of what I'm seeing, this is what I'm getting at, and so we were talking about, okay, so if we were Sheboygan, we both passed away, and after 100 years, they just keep like asking us to knock. Hey, we're going to help you, but are you really going to help you? Or are we really going to help us? Like the teams say that, how can we help you? And we're like, we're trapped. And it's just like, I'm sorry, you're trapped. Like, is anyone like going farther to feel like, and I've told the spirits at Madison and Fairfield, you are not trapped. If you think I'm some authority figure, like the former superintendent that trapped you here, you can leave at any time. But I have a theory behind that to why they do not want to leave. There's two theories. Either they really are trapped by something that I do not understand. Those could be something called soul catchers. Wanda Kay, who used to run Bobby Mackey's, we had a deep conversation. She's like, have you ever heard of soul catchers? I was like, I haven't. But think of like bullies on the other side to break that theory down very easy. But anyway, where was that? So, okay.
Why they kept there's two
why they're trapped. Okay. Well, you think about it. If these spirits are from 50 years back, 60 years back, and you were like, you're free to go, please leave. If you do not have to stay here if you don't want to. I'm trying to make this your home. I know it seems really weird because no one normally does this, but I'm going to keep this here. People are going to visit you from all around the world. This is how we're going to raise money for the building. And if there's someone you don't want to talk to, you don't have to. But let's say for the ones that do want to leave and they're terrified, the minute you step out of the Madison Seminary, that no longer looks the way it did 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You don't see horse and buggy, or even if you go back 100 years, you see flying missiles flying down the road. You see a yellow school bus drive by and you're like, what is that? You see all
these new things and you're like, you don't want to go because you're
why would you want to leave now? Like, where are you going to go for one? And that could get into a deep conversation of like, how do you go on to the next thing? And I'll be verbal, like this is not a disagreement or thing. Like I do not believe in the heaven hell construct. I believe that energy moves on. The law of thermodynamics, do not create or destroy energy, right?
Yep.
It's very simple. From my understanding is that we are going to pass away and there's going to be an exchange of energy. And the question after that is, because I am a big believer, and I say believer because we're still trying to understand, but like reincarnation. Is it possible that when our energy transfers back to whatever that origin is, just energy, universal energy, do we have choices? Do we stay because you hear the the stories of like you want to stay and watch your loved ones? Perhaps that's it. Perhaps the world has passed you on and you don't understand what to do, but you're like, I remember the Madison Seminary. It's still standing here. I'm not going to move any faster than I don't have to move.
Yep.
If this building is knocked down, then I'll go on and I'll move on.
Yeah.
Mr. Wooliver, Mr. Wooliver, there's a legend right there. He's a part of the inner circle. He's great. Love you, Wooly. But or is it possible that spirits can move on immediately? You've heard these stories. There's a researcher, Ian Stevenson. He has done a lot of cases of reincarnation. And the problem with doing it in the first world is our kids are being exposed to TV shows, everything. You know what I mean? Like at an early age, you got an iPad. You're learning things at a phenomenally faster rate than we did.
Oh
The
yeah.
best way is to go to the third world country. Go to a third world country and look at cases of that where they do not have television, they do not have radio. They're almost like isolated from the outside world, and see what you hear there. And my suspicion, and again, everything's a theory, my suspicion is that yes, reincarnation is happening. But I heard something very depressing that was like, oh, and it makes so much sense. Someone had stated that reincarnation is like a dream. You know, when you wake up and you're like, holy shit, that was a crazy dream. And you're thinking about it and you pretty much remember like 80% of it. You're like going through your head, or you think you remember it. It's like a dream, and you're like, okay, wow, that was weird. That person was in it, that person was in it.
Yeah.
Now, for the average person like myself, I can remember my dreams when I wake up, but I can even lose them really quick within the first like 2 minutes. I'm thinking about it, then it's like gone. If I really like think about it, write it down. And he said, reincarnation's like a daydream. As you're growing up again as a child, that past life that's locked in there slowly begins to fade like a dream. And some people have the ability to hang on to it longer, but inevitably, the way our avatars are designed, these bodies of meat and flesh and electricity and water, we don't have the computing power to hold on. And instinctually, some of us just instinctually feel certain ways, and that could be from a past life. But that's what bothers me. And one of my big missions, like, because people are like, what's your point of all this? What's your point of existence? Why do you care about the paranormal? What's your point of existence? I'll say right now, this is revolutionary because I've never said this, is that I do intend to come back. I know this sounds crazy. This is where they like society
You'll find
laughs.
Adam at Madison.
Right. And this is where society laughs. You're like, you sound crazy. I'm like, I'm ahead of the curve. So I'm thinking that if I can reincarnate, I will. I'd like to stay within my own bloodline. That's where I think it gets complicated because think about that for a second. You're just in your own bloodline. Your bloodline has to have babies down the line. Let's say that's how it works. I would inevitably wait to do that and stay within the bloodline. But I would leave clues at Madison and try to I'm trying to be loud on social media, but this is where it's going to be a problem. Like kids in the future will see this. Like maybe I'm Adam Kimmell. There are a very few people within my circle that know some very, very key information. We all have a safety protocol. There's information I have left hidden within RU episodes it's like Dalai Lama stuff, If you're ever watching an RU episode and something seems vague, like why did he say that? There's your red flag. That's an indicator.
It's a clue to the future.
It's a clue. It's a clue to the future. If reincarnation is real, that I can see that and come back. And again, another thing is leaving the world better than I came here, because if you do reincarnate later, the world's like turning to trash, right? And that is one of my goals. It doesn't even sound like it's paranormal related, but we need to make the future better for the next generation, because that may be us again.
Yeah.
Does that sound creepy and eerie and on point?
Yeah.
So yeah, that I don't want to change the mood, but like it gets down to the gritty of how I'm thinking. There she is. That's the
That's
Fairfield
Adam's
County
thinking,
Infirmary.
you guys.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Fairfield. How did you come about buying Fairfield in the first place?
Sounds interesting. This is negotiation skills at their finest. So back in 2016, Jeff Fent, the patron saint, Jeff Fent had sent me a video. He's like, dude, this place is not too far from me. And he sent a video going by, and I'm like, oh shit, what is that? He drove by what is the Fairfield County Infirmary. And in 2018, I heard that the land bank, it was with the land bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the land bank just has properties that have no purpose currently. So in 2018, I tried to put in a proposal and I lost. I lost to Habitat for Humanity. And it's like, shit, Habitat for Humanity is like an established organization, right? Like I'm going in as a buyer. I've only had Madison for 2 years. Madison didn't have a very good start. It was very tough. I had a lot of legislation, a lot of red tape. Everything worked out. Everyone's nice and friends now. But at the time I was going after Fairfield, it was an all-on battle. And I was at a wartime state. So that's not good. You don't want to go into a location during time of war. You want a time of peace.
Yep.
So in 2020, I made friends in 2018 with some of the people within the organization. And we ended up filming an episode of Are You There? Made some friends. And the thing I joke about having eyes and ears everywhere in the paranormal is like, at this point, it's not bragging. Like I'm giving everyone the heads up. Like we have eyes and ears everywhere. And in 2019, late 2019, I get information from a source that Fairfield County Infirmary, known at that point as the Miller Building, it's historically known as the Fairfield County Infirmary, it was known as the Miller Building, was in crisis. The Habitat for Humanity could not sustain it financially. And your name is being brought up a lot because in 2018, I was the only other person that showed up, was like, I would like to buy that.
Mm-hmm.
So I take the source from the information, or I take the information from the source, and I reach out and I said, my name is Adam Kimmell. I'm still interested in this location. And it was a whirlwind. I met with the banker. We're talking. And I'm not sure if there was miscommunication, but I was aware that there was another buyer. I was told that.
I would go on. Continue talking.
Yes. I was told that there was another buyer, all these things. So I've got to put in a bid. I put in a lowball bid, and I would eventually find out that, they couldn't give this building away. It was in so much crisis. So much money has to be dumped back into the thing. Like it needed a new roof. That's what I'm working on. That was supposed to be taken care of before I got it, right? Which again, I was never supposed to because they were supposed to finish that. And I countered after learning some inside information. I countered at $1, knowing that they were up against the ropes, and it went down for $1. Now, again, here's the thing though, getting a building for $1, it's oh God, the amount of work that's had to go into it, the roof, a lot of roof repairs, the rooms. So for the teams that have come in, you guys have seen it. It still had the haunted house stuff everywhere. So when that was closed down, they left a lot of their props inside. We had to clean all of that. It was in shambles, and it took months to get that thing even to the tier it's at right now. And we're still doing stuff to it. Like this is a heavy renovation year. So it's going to be busy, but that was just ballsy because I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think like who walks in after offering 28,000 is like $1. So, because I was like, yeah, new information's come to light. It's $1 and that's the deal. Yeah. So you have my number. And 3 weeks went by and I thought I lost. I was like, oh man, Adam, you should have just played the straight and narrow. But I hate that. I don't like the straight and narrow. I like chaos magic. And I got a call 3 weeks later from the president. Are you serious about that $1? I was like, let's go. I am. Let's go. Yeah.
And you never look back.
Yeah. And the thing about it, they're forever projects. Like people have asked me, they're like, do you not feel overwhelmed? And I'm like, well, if you saw my brain, you'd know there's no overwhelm. It's just constantly, I take it room by room. But this year we're getting A new roof. So the room
Yay.
there on the left, that roof's good still. It's obviously going to get fixed down the road, but the roof that's above the chicken coop, it's actually in that second picture. If you go
Mhm.
towards the cupola stairs and swing to the left, that's the older wing. And there you have it. That roof is in much disrepair. Much disrepair.
Yeah, that place is amazing. I'm finally getting around to edit photos from Madison and Fairfield, and I'm like saying to Addie, I'm like, feel free to use these photos all you want. It's like the places are just so photogenic, and it's like you just go in and you just feel the spirits just want to like hug you as soon as you walk in.
Yes. Yeah.
I love Fairfield was fun. Just watch out for the bats.
We do get bats. Oh god. And Shelly's had a few at Madison. You know, I've tried putting up bat houses, and here's what I'll say. I feel for the bats. They've been nested in there for like decades.
Mhm.
Why would you leave the mansion for a crappy little bat house? And I put them
Yeah,
out at Madison. I have bat houses. They don't care. They're like, screw your bat houses.
They're like, I will avoid that.
I'm gonna go in the mansion where I got like 88 rooms, and and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see your move, very good, but it's not too bad. And with ghost hunting, I tell teams like, this is what we sign up for. This is not a luxury sport at times, and if you want to investigate some of these really cool haunted places, there are obstacles in the way, and it never crossed my mind like we come across bats all the time. You just work around it. You work around it and you keep investigating.
Yeah, I think the night we were at Fairfield, there was one bat. I think it was maybe second floor. I think it was second. That literally sounded like a spirit coming out of a room and charging at us. Like it went straight for the head. All you heard was whoosh, and we're like, "What the hell was that?" We thought that was because you could hear the sound of the rings.
Yeah.
But at that time, we were down by the dungeon, the locked room, the jail cell, and we're like, okay, was that something coming out of a room, or was that a bat? And all of a sudden, all we hear is another investigator screaming because the bat like just went right next to her face. I'm like, oh boy. And we're all just standing there laughing our asses off because we're like, what are we supposed to do? Because it was kept going down and up the hall. We're like, okay, we're going to try to capture this thing or push it into a room and close the door.
Oh, I have two things I want to address here. First of all, I'll do Patience and then Rich Valdez. He made a comment in the chat. It's very good. I like this. Patience, tell the story now about how you got me as a tour guide. Real quick, because this one's easy. If any of you guys have seen the movie called It Follows, it's a very good movie.
He followed you to Fairfield.
Yes, like my own personal demon. Because the only demon I really run into is Addie Gaddis, and then Patience. If you look at her origin story, she's got the potential to be a demon. I was out painting the barn, and she showed up one day. And if you watch the movie, it's funny because like, I don't know if it's PG-13, but anyway, watch the movie. It's funny. It Follows. It's the origin story of Patience. How like you just like she showed up one day and then like she was just always there. It Follows. So, and that is how we were blessed.
One day and then you couldn't get rid of her.
Couldn't get rid of her. I was like, I guess you're with us now. All right, Patience. All right. So Rich had made this comment. This is very good. And I actually met another individual that was a demonologist within the church who said the same thing. And it's like, I think if we were going to have a debate, we need to have the clickbait demonologist versus someone like Rich that can explain like these two should not be intermingling. He wrote, I agree with him. Theology and paranormal have nothing to do with each other, and not everything is a demon. I refuse to have to try to prove myself to someone I don't know and obviously has a disdain for demonologists. I am a demonologist and I have been properly trained by two churches and recognized by them. But when I'm investigating the paranormal, I don't go in as a demonologist, but rather using scientific methodology to prove or disprove the alleged phenomena happening at that location. Here we go. That's actually Now, see, the problem is the clickbaiters, the fly-by-night, I got my certificate online demonologists are flooding out
Yep.
that right there. And
Mhm.
that, there was another individual, I can't remember the top of my name. I'm terrible with names. I'm not trying to not name drop. I'm really just, this is why I always have Addie, my earpiece at the con. If you're ever wondering why I have an earpiece in my ear at con, that's because Addie is like giving me information. That's why I seem superhuman. That I can bounce around to like 150 people and not miss a beat. I'm being
Because
fed
Addie's always
information.
like,
Addie's, this is that, just in case you forgot, that's so-and-so you're talking to. And I'm like, 90% of the time I know, and then there'll be like someone I haven't seen forever. And I'm like, I'll hit the walkie real quick, and I have like a code word. I'll say like, paka, paka. And that means like, get your eyes on me real quick. I'm playing real cool. I do not know who I'm speaking with right now. That's tough. You come across so many people, and then it like
Mhm.
clicks to me. But there was another individual that came up and said the same thing. And I was like, I respect that. You know, I grew up Roman Catholic. I understand. Like, I understand we're not trying to destroy this. It's just like staying in the lane. He had made a very interesting on this other demonologist that said out of the 99.9% exorcisms he had participated in, he would say mental illness, some kind of psychological disorder.
Yep.
And then the reason I keep the realm of probability there is because there was that one case he said, I'm not sure. And again, this comes down to the argument of we cannot confirm or deny the existence. But I believe the writing of it is so heavy in the paranormal right now that we're scaring and misleading another generation of children. Because I
Yeah.
see it. I mean, I don't believe these content creators have the right to speak on the authority that I have. I'm like, what location do you have? Do you see 20,000 people come in
Yeah.
a year? They don't see that. They don't see the damage and the wake that they leave behind. Because I have a lot of
They just want
teams,
the views.
they want the views and they don't understand what they're doing to people, and that's wrong. And I'll stand for that. That's wrong. You know, let's keep this science based. Let's, I think it's scarier to think that there could be spirits that are sociopaths, narcissists.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's scarier than hyping it up as just this evil demon waiting for you. It's like
Yeah.
you're dealing with real psychopaths that were that way in life, and now they're
Life,
that way in
and now
death.
they're
They're
that way in
cloaking.
death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because whatever you
So,
were in life is what you will be in death. And it's
mhm.
like, I had investigated Juliet prison. It's like, that was one of the most dangerous prisons in the country. And in the hospital building, Richard Speck came through the spirit box, or at least something that said that he was Richard
Right.
Speck. And I'm like, not dealing with this. Turn that off.
Right.
Because
And
I
this
don't
gets
want to deal with serial killers and stuff. No, thank you.
well, this gets into I believe the concept's been there. I don't know if it's a universal consciousness and I'm tapping into it because I had to research it after I said the name mimics. It has been said in the paranormal, but I'm not sure. I have to look more into it
Oh,
if
the
they're
whole
actually
mimic
using it.
aspect.
Yes, the mimic.
Mhm.
Because I started thinking, I'm like, we only talk about so much of the history of a location, and most teams go in blinded. Like everything we heard about in the history has to be the only haunting here. It's like, okay,
No,
no, that's so
no.
wrong. Because even you being there that day has now contaminated the location. You're a part of the history now.
Yep.
But when it comes to residual hauntings and what springs that, you may not make your appearance for another 50 years, but you've now contaminated that location with the location you're investigating.
Yep.
That right there is going to blow the minds of some investigators. But that's the things we need to understand. But what I'm getting at with the mimics is there is no receipt to an EVP. That's why I hate Ghost Adventures. Everybody knows how I feel about Bagans, Ghost Adventures.
If you don't go to Adam's TikTok,
Yeah.
you'll find out exactly.
Like, I don't care. I don't care. He's the kind of individual that like would probably try to get you banned from the industry, which we know he does. I don't care. We don't need the industry. The underground's stronger than the industry. Who do you
Yep.
think the mainstream steals from? They steal from the underground. The mainstream does not have a lot of intelligence to it. They're going through and finding all these content creators because I've seen it. I've seen individual things stolen from our shows. The ripples have been stolen before because someone's like,
Mhm.
oh my God, what a genius idea. But you're
This-
not even
yeah.
doing it right. So there was a show. I can't remember the show. Obviously, it was that monumental. It was a show where they Ghost Loop,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they. Oh my God, I got so many phone calls. My messenger got flooded. Like, oh my God, this TV show just stole your main premise. And it's not that it's like ours. There have been others before that. I believe in Q. It was done by those two brothers, the Texan guys.
Oh,
I
Brandon
didn't.
Berry?
Yes, and they did. I think they did something to generate. I had never
Yes.
seen this
Yep.
footage, and it was just recreating it.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, so in the universal conscious, this idea has been here, but they didn't heavily go with it. There is one show right now online that goes heavily with it for the last decade. So when you look at the mainstream stealing, it's because you guys don't have any intelligence to you. Your little group of producers and your executives, you're only thinking money. You're not thinking like deep theoretical, like, hey, this would, because again, you're selling for entertainment. I get it.
Yeah.
It just tells me again how stupid you are. So when I saw the concept, the idea of the ghost loop was by recreating something of their past, they would free them of this loop. Yes, it was Kling
Yeah.
Brothers. And they also had problems with the industry. You know, they made videos. They actually seem
Yep.
like two really good dudes. Like they get
They're
it.
really good guys. I
Right.
adore them. Yeah.
So yeah, and that theory, I remember hearing that later. They were like, "Oh, someone actually had mentioned to me, you mean Q?" And I'm like, "What the hell is an Q?" Because I just called it a ripple in time, you know, because you're just
Mhm.
rippling the space.
Yep.
So they had done it with Jenny Wade, which was very cool. When I went back to see that, I was like, "Now that's it, that's it."
Mhm.
But the ripple is to take it very much farther with doing recordings while you do it. You know, Becca's reading the space as well. Like you're doing this, and now this gets back to our earlier conversation. You had said, um,
Are we
oh,
investigating
yes,
Are we the
because
future for the ghosts while they're living their present?
well, there's one way to maybe tell if we're speaking to the past, and that is when you recreate a lobotomy, or you recreate electroshock therapy, or you
Mhm.
recreate anything of the past. That's interesting to see what springs out from that. Does
Oh,
that
yeah.
energy make them want to communicate, or does it allow a
Them
residual
to
unlock?
communicate.
It's still unknown, but yes. Because I was saying, like, if you and I had passed away at a place and we've been there for 100 years, and suddenly they started playing music from our time period, or I don't know what our millennials would react to. They started doing like a Britney Spears like concert, and we're like,
Mhm.
oh shit, I've seen that before. Is that Jenny? Is that Britney Spears? Let's go talk to these guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
right?
you know, but then again, this also bounces around. And again, if someone were to cut this all together, this is all going to make sense because I've jumped everywhere. But like, no receipt to an EVP. When someone says something to you and they're like, I am a demon. Well, anyone can say that, because when you get the name of a person, is there any way to prove that it's that person, or is it a mimic
Yeah, mimic.
that has heard the history so many times and they're like, okay, I'll be John Doe today because that's who
Yeah.
we talk about. And I know if I say I'm John Doe, the investigators get very
People believe
excited
it.
and they amplify the error. And I like the energy that comes off of the fright and the excitement, and that feeds me. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is
Yep.
105 theory.
I feel like
So,
now that kind of jumps into the whole Velisca thing. Like,
mhm.
what are we dealing with at Velisca? Is it the family? Is it the killer? Or is it mimics coming in and feeding off all the investigators who come in with this pre-notion of the family's still there, the killer's still there, and what all happened in the history of that house?
Yes. So if we're going to do 101 versus 105, and I can always tell people that are in the field longer, our videos are boring. It's because we're actually we're jumping into the science and the deep theory.
Keep
101
talking.
theory.
Let me shut up. Hold on one second.
Oh, okay. I'll wait. I know we got to touch on Velisca. Everybody in the chat here, I can see you guys in the chat here. Hang on. Let me see here. Bonnie Gurney. Hey, Entertainment Today cannot even come up with new materials, so they are doing remake after remake of classic movies. So there you have it. There you have it. That is so true. That is so
Okay.
true.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I was just reading some of the chat here. So you had broke it down
about what we were talking about before I got distracted by the car showing up in the driveway. It's like it's like after 9 here. What the heck?
So you were breaking down the theories.
Yes.
And you pretty much hit it. A Novus 101 team is going to go in there, and they are going to assume that the family is still there because it is commonly believed that traumatic experiences trap a spiritual location.
Yes.
They were murdered in their sleep, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, like, that's my opinion. Like, I don't know. I think there's a little more chaos in the house. I believe
that too. It's like
right. The house
I've been there a couple times, and it's like there's more to the story that's being like told, and I feel like if someone, I know Johnny's done it like a month in that house just by himself. I feel like there's going to be more of that true story that comes out, but at the same time, it's like, how do you know if? Hold on.
You're okay.
Well, I can't do anything about it, River. Oh my god. But it's like, what is truly happening there? Is it the spirits, the true spirits of the family, or is it like the mimics or something that is feeding off all the investigators? It's like, how do we know really what's happening in that house? Like,
we don't. A Novus investigator, like I was saying, would come in and believe the family's trapped there because of a traumatic murder. The killer's there, even though the killer didn't die there. The killer apparently came back.
Yeah.
And is there because it's his most notorious thing he's ever done. And that's assuming that this is one individual killer and not a traveling serial killer or things like that. Because there's a lot of theories out there, right?
There's so many theories, like, is Velisca tied to Melbourne Manor? Because the story is that the killer stayed at Melbourne Manor before going to Velisca. It's like, it's an interesting idea, but you just never really know.
I'd have to look into that. I'm not familiar. I have not. I know what Melbourne Manor is. I've not been there, and I don't know that angle, so I can't touch on it. But that is interesting. But a 105 theory, and this is where I'm taking it, is in the episode I talked about something has blanketed there. I do not believe it's the killer. I do not believe the family is there anymore. We tried peeling back the layers to see, but here's the problem. The place has been so heavily contaminated.
Oh yeah.
I think it is what we could describe as a mimic that plays the role. I am the killer. I did this. And whatever this thing is, and again, we won't know until it's too late, but whatever this thing is apparently feeds off of the fear of people.
Yeah.
And
people who come through,
and it knows the story inside and out. I got, and maybe this thing could get into our heads. I'm not going to put that out of the realm of possibility. You know,
oh, it gets in my head.
I'm wondering if I was so excited that day, like I'm gonna the way that episode played out is not how I wanted it. Like, we have a battle plan in our heads. That Velisca became the biggest freestyle I've ever done because after night one, I was like, yeah, there's no attack to this. This thing is way smarter than me in the chess game because it is a game of chess.
It's like 2 steps ahead of you.
Oh, 100%. Within the first EVP I did, I got I am the Reverend. I believe it was exactly I am the Reverend.
Or something like that. Yeah, because I remember watching it.
And I remember being pissed, and I was like, you gave me everything I wanted right now. It has to be a bigger game of cat and mouse. And it wasn't. And I was pissed. And I'm just thinking, what do I do now? What do I do now? Like, that's when I've always wanted to deploy my other strategy of getting into the heads of these monsters. You can't swing at the air. You can't, you got Zach Bagans circa whenever thinking you can fight them. And you can't. You're dealing with a cloaked entity, and the only way to defeat a narcissist or something of this caliber, a psychopath, is to get in their head. And that's the only best shot I could do at the end, just to see. And it was all to see what was going to be said. So if anyone hasn't seen that episode, that's probably the greatest investigation
check it
I've
out.
ever done.
It was interesting when that guy just showed up. It's
like,
he says he was called to the house. I'm like,
I'm getting chills right now again
what?
because it's
What?
almost like I even wrote that in the episode that I said it's almost like the house was playing a game because it was funny.
Mhm.
Johnny kept identifying it as the house, and as I watched that, I'm like, oh my god, it's an entity of the house. It's
The
not.
house.
It's not a haunting being orchestrated by multiple spirits. It's the house.
Yeah.
And it was like, was it the house's defense mechanism? Like, was it knowing in my head I wanted to put on this giant spectacle that's like, I'm going to bring a crazy, unstable traveler to come here who apparently, I think when the cops did come back, I don't know if he had a hatchet on him or something.
Oh,
I can't
Jesus.
remember to look back. I don't quote me on that because we did come back and I didn't get to film that. There was a lot of in between because we were getting ready to put Johnny in the house.
Mhm.
Cops show up because Johnny made the phone call. He's out in the cemetery, sleeping where he said he was going to go.
Yeah.
And they picked him up there. He did have a criminal record. He had battery on an officer. He had assault
Oh, wow.
charges. And I wish if I could go back in time, we would have picked up the cameras faster. I actually, after it was over, went down the block really quick trying to find him. He was gone. Because after it was over, I was like, what just happened? And all
Yeah.
of a sudden, my brain's moving too fast. I was like, oh no, we have to get him. We have to get him right now. And Becca and Addie were like, no. And Chris was
No.
like, saddle up, let's go get him. Let's go get him. And I went running down the block. Because there's two ways he could go to the cemetery
Yep.
from the back of the house and over, right? I run as fast as I can to the corner of the house and I'm looking. I can't see anything. I run down the other block. And I'm running. I'm trying not to yell, like look like crazy and bring cops out earlier than they need to be here. And I'm running. I get to the other block. I don't see him. Like he hustled out of there.
He hustled, or he was like,
I was going to interview him again and do it over and be like, hey, I already got this initial one, but I want you to tell me everything you just said to me again.
yeah.
And like, no bullshit. You tell me everything because the house called me. I see the auras of children. I'm like,
I was like,
it's not even occurring to me because I went into defense mode. I'm like, dude, who are you? Why are you here?
yeah.
And, I'm trying to de-escalate. I'm like an FBI negotiator. I'm like, oh, hey, buddy. Oh, yeah, what's up? Like, oh, very cool. Like, I'm trying to watch his hands because he
Mhm.
was jittery. He was jittery. I'm like, shit, he's gonna come at me. So Chris had his foot in the door and he was lunged. It was tense for a good moment. So I was you could hear it in my voice. I was trying to de-escalate because he was on something. He was on some kind of upper. So yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what-
Rebecca Thomas.
yes.
She said, "Do you think the spirit sent that guy?" Yes. House. I'll call it the house. I
I-
know this sounds crazy. I'm not a
I think
leaf
it's
trader. I'm not a hippie. Like, I'm being like, I don't know. I got really creeped out, and
Mhm.
all these theories came to mind. I'm like, I think that was the house's defense mechanism, knowing if houses keep memories. Every time I've gone there, sometimes we think like spirits remember us.
Yep.
If that's true, well, the last 2 years, there are 2 times I've been there, I went over the top, and I did have a ripple kind of planned out, another run through the house and kill him again, but I didn't even like that because I'm like, I've done that already.
Yeah.
But I was going to get even more crazy with it and remind him, like, this is how the world's going to remember you and see you. And after that happened, we all sat down in the barn real quick. We're like, yeah, we're not doing a ripple tonight. We don't need to.
You don't need
We
to.
don't need to. We don't need
I was
to.
like, yeah, no. When I watched it, I was like, you don't need to do a ripple for that.
Nope. No, we're fine. We're fine.
So, okay,
No.
here's that EVP I caught in, I want to say it was 2011. Yeah, 2011.
Okay.
Funny story. No, not really funny. But we arrived. Johnny took us to the cemetery. It was sunny. It was bright. It was a nice day. Just like, I think it was August. Went to the cemetery, paid a respect, and then came to the house. He gave us a tour. He left because he had to go do something a couple of towns over, which is no big deal. And then we were setting up equipment. We set up a camera in the attic and a voice recorder. I think another voice recorder upstairs somewhere. And we set up a voice recorder in where Lena and Ina were sleeping in the first floor bedroom. And then all of a sudden we were hearing bang, 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 bang outside. And we all looked outside. There were 8 of us. So think 8 people died, 8 people here. And all of a sudden, we were seeing like softball-sized hail come down. And all of a sudden, we had the original glass at the time. The windows on the one side were all original to the house. Come flying in, glass coming in, going to the other side of the house. And that house isn't big in the first place.
No, it's not
No.
a big house.
You could probably go not even 10 seconds and be at the other side of the house.
You could do a 30-second tour of the whole thing.
Oh yeah, right?
Like that's even if you were like trying to pace yourself. 30
Yeah.
seconds, you could walk through that entire house.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. So we had
Mhm.
glass coming in to the other side of the house. And we're all huddled up in the kitchen. Like, and my co-lead or team member was like, 8 people died, 8 people here. Are we going to survive? Because the whole house was like shaking from the hail and the storm. And it finally stopped. We went outside, called Johnny. Johnny's like, what are you talking about? It's not raining, it's not hailing. What are you talking about? He's 2 towns over. We're like, yeah, you need to come to the house right now with
He wasn't in Villisca at the time. He was
two towns over. I'm like, Johnny, brain board, brain nails. He goes, what are you talking about? And he shows up without any supplies, right? He goes,
I love you, Johnny.
He goes,
I love you, Johnny.
I'm like, Johnny.
I love that man so much.
And he looks at the window and he goes, what happened here? I'm like, well, look at the hail right here on the porch. He goes, what the hell? And he walks in and sees the glass all over. Like, we had glass coming down the steps and everything. And he goes, this is the worst thing that's happened to the house since the murders. I was like, oh, of course it is. Like, without a doubt. So he had
how often does it smash? Like, that's how bad the winds were in the hail?
Mm-hmm. It was really bad. Like, all on the other side of this window house, you could all the windows were out. Like, they were blown out with the hail. So he has us go out to the barn while he goes to town and get the plywood and stuff so we can, continue our night if we wanted to. No one was in the house at this time. And let me pull it up here. No one was in the house. Everybody was in the barn or in town at the Walmart or the town over where there's a Walmart, getting food and trying to calm us down and everything. And this was caught. So hopefully this works. I'll play it one more time.
What was happening again when this was recorded?
We were all outside in the barn.
Okay.
Half of the team was out in the town over at Walmart, but we had the barn door closed and everything because we were like, we didn't want to go back in the house because there was glass everywhere, and we just wanted Johnny to come back and clean it up. But I'll play it one more time for people.
Where was the recorder at?
This was Ina and Lena's room downstairs in that first floor bedroom.
Okay, where was the glass smashed at?
All the windows
on the top floor by the Moore's bedroom. No,
all the floors had glass. Like, all the windows on that side were smashed. So the window in Ina and Lena's room was broken, and the windows upstairs were broken.
Okay.
So play it one more time.
Can you play that one more time?
Yep.
Can you hone into that last part right there?
Yeah.
It was
about
the
right.
last thing we just heard.
Yep.
But yeah, that spot right there. Just play that a few times.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay, one more time. One more time. Okay. Did you ever try to put any of that together?
To me,
What do you hear?
I hear the girl screaming.
Yeah, right in
And
the
then-
beginning. Yeah.
Yep. Then you hear a man say, "Stop moving around." And then you hear like what it sounds like it might have like hit the ceiling or something, like somebody coming down on something. To me, that's what I picked up from it for the last 10, 12 years, whatever it's been.
So that last part that I kept rewinding over, is that the part where you said, what did you think that said?
Stop moving around.
Can I hear one more time?
Yeah. Let me.
That spot right there, it's weird. I think I hear moment of trial. And play it back one more time. Moment of trial. It's a man's voice.
Mm.
That's weird. I don't know. It's very eerie. Now this gets into a deep theory. Okay.
Okay.
What makes a residual pop, right?
Yeah,
Because this sounds like a residual.
definitely.
Now, here's the thing. How many teams come in there and recreate that? Right?
Yeah, probably like almost all the teams.
Almost. I've done it. We've done screaming and everything. And it's interesting to me. Is it possible that you capture, but like what makes one haunting deep, one residual deeper than the next?
Hmm.
Because that could have been a random team, right? That
Yeah.
investigated there, screamed, and someone's walking around like, saying stuff. Or is it the original? Because if it's the original, oh my God, is that?
Yeah. Johnny has told me on numerous locations when times I've seen him in person, he goes, "That's probably the scariest EVP that has come out of the house." And I just learned last night or the night before that Brandon from Ghost Hunters has a EVP just like it from like 4 years ago or something like that. So I'm gonna message him and be like, "Can we share EVPs? Because I have one and I hear that you have one that just like it." And Johnny's like, "I don't think anyone's really ever caught an EVP like that from the house. Like, yes,
here's what's
there's been
interesting.
like clear A class A EVPs, but
Yeah.
like not to like that extent."
It's eerie to me that like stone tape theory again. God, that's my most favorite theory in this whole game. Is that stone tape theory is that everything is imprinted. We think we've lost the files, but even right now in our individual rooms, we are being recorded in the walls and everything.
Your
phones, yeah.
It's like creepy because you could be looking or talking about something and then you go to Google and it shows up. It's like there's ears everywhere.
But yeah, and it's just like that moment was captured in time.
Yep.
And then the question of a residual is what makes it pop? Is it possible that all the trauma or the traumatic play of the windows smashing,
Yeah.
did you get the perfect storm? Not like, no pun intended. But like, was it the perfect storm of energy being put in, glass smashing, things like that? Did that set a peak somehow of a residual? And at the right time, that is being able to be recorded. Those are deep questions. I don't have
before the storm even hit, we were up in the attic, me and my team member, just us. Everybody else was outside trying to bring equipment in. And we're standing in the attic where the killer was supposed to be hiding for however long. setting up a camera and a voice recorder, and she hears her name in her ear, and I turn and I say, "Did you just say my name?" And she goes, "I heard my name in my ear." And I'm like, "I just heard my name in my ear." And you could like feel the breath on your face. So we're like, okay, kind of creeped out. We're like, we gotta go. And then we got downstairs and everything started to happen. And that night, that energy just kept going, even after the storm. It's like we were having balls move. We were having just disembodied voices the whole night. That night was just bonkers. And I haven't been back to the house since. And it's funny because I'm like, I don't have that EVP on my phone at all. And it will just show up on my phone. I was like, I think the house is calling me back, but I don't want to go back.
Oh, I would usually laugh at a statement like that, but I really do think that police calls people back. I don't.
Oh yeah, I'm like I want to go back. I'm like, okay, I just need the right people to go back with me at that point. And if there's a storm, I'm out. I'm not replaying that whole situation again.
Bonnie wrote, I think that investigators don't realize that one of the girls actually was awake and tried to get away from the killer. So it gives another take on the night's activity when there were 8 killed. And see, this is just, we'll never know. And I agree. I agree. I understand that someone there, could do all of that and be undetected. There is a probability that that's possible.
Yeah. And like, how did he hide in the attic for that long without even making any noise? And we both been in the attic.
Yeah, it's all speculated. Here's the thing about the stuff that was found in the attic. I think it was like the cigar and all that stuff, and the cigarette. That could have been after.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Because the crime scene was contaminated. The town came in, started cleaning it up. Yeah, they started cleaning it up. They needed to leave that stuff there.
They had hundreds of people walk through before the cops even showed up.
So the problem with it is like my instinct, just my instinct from hearing the story, someone was awake. And it could have been pandemonium. It could have been, I understand that the killer's first notion would be to neutralize the parents. That's your biggest threat. You're going to neutralize Mr. Moore first.
Yep.
And then you're going to get Mrs. Moore. And then after that, you have 6 children that are undefended.
Yeah.
And I really think that human nature, it got noisy. It got noisy really quick. And I understand, I've heard the whole counter story that the children were terrified. They were awake, but they just stayed in their beds because they didn't know what to do. That's possible. We've all been children. We get it. You hear something, you don't know what to do, and you just like stay still. But I think Ina, I don't know, man. I'm getting chills right now.
I feel like
if I
had to pick which girl I heard screaming in that EVP, if it was one of the girls, it would have been Ina. I don't know why. I just felt
I don't know why either. Yeah, I don't know. I feel
that's the one that was awake and was, if it is the real spirit that was in that EVP.
Right.
You never know.
You never know, but yeah, we'll never know. I know, and that's the excitement and frustration of this field is that we can only give it our best shot. Oh, look at this!
Oh, look at this!
Look at this.
We'll definitely have to have you on again for part 2 because we're at an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, here's what I can tell everybody. I had to reschedule. Obviously, Project Fear. There was a last minute adjustment again. Dakota's got a thing on that day. They rescheduled. They're going to be able to do MadCon. So I have to make an announcement. We have everything finalized. So I'm going to fix these pictures. MadCon 7 will have Project Fear. FCI Con the same, and ISS Con will mirror FCI Con minus. I do not think I have Chris coming out to ISS. He wasn't able to do that. So I'll get all that fixed. That's going to be your poster for MadCon. Okay. That will be the lineup. And it's, what is yours? Trying to coordinate everybody. Oh my God. We're going to film 3 standalone documentaries of showing people what it takes to get these cons going. Like the week before, we're going to start filming, because I should be filming it now. coordinating everybody's schedule,
Yep.
trying to wrangle up battle plans of the locations. Addie
Mhm.
is a freaking genius. She's got
She's
the
the
aerials up and
mastermind.
everything because, we've been doing this for 7 years and they're only growing. Oh my God, are they getting really big to where
So
it's like, these are
that's
becoming like full-blown party events of like
oh
the
yeah.
excitement level.
What was
Um,
your first event? It was MadCon, right? Was
Actually,
it
Randolph County
for
Infirmary, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with that place. Um, I used to be the co-owner. I guess I'm technically still the co-owner. The paperwork doesn't lie, but um, the first con was RCI Con 1, and that was out of
oh, at
Randolph.
Randolph?
Yep.
Okay. I
And
was
then
just there.
yes, it's okay. I tell people to stay away from that. They're scum, terrible. They've had bad management. The one guy, Murphy's his name. They got rid of him,
Yep, he got rid
but
of
there
him.
were a lot of women coming forward, and I would keep your eyes on that place because I know that due to the case, I can't mention much, but there's some stuff going down. So it is. I always tell teams stay away from it. They're bad people. I left because I didn't like the people being brought in, and it was shortly after that things went downhill. But
Mhm.
I have not been affiliated with Randolph since 2015,
Yeah.
2014.
So
Oh no,
what
wait, it
are
was still overlapped 2016. I'm sorry because I had just got Madison. I pulled out. There was for about 2 to 3 months it coexisted where I
yeah,
was with
overlap?
Randolph and Madison. Then I just had Madison. Um, but that was the first one where we raised money for cystic fibrosis, and then I took that concept to Madison, and we raised 44,000 plus last year,
Wow.
and we're gonna raise. I know we're gonna do it.
You're gonna go over 50 this year.
Yeah. This Thursday, I have to be in Indianapolis. What is today? See, I don't know my dates.
Sunday.
Okay, this Thursday, I have to be in Indianapolis to receive an award from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Ooh,
And huge, prestigious thing. The Musgroves will be with me. Um,
nice.
it's going to be good. I mean, they're taking note of what we're doing out there. Everybody's doing hard work. We put a lot of money into this. So, yeah. But these are the events. I'll make that announcement either later tonight or tomorrow. We'll have the final lineup. I understand some people are going to be upset. I've said, man, people love Project Fear, but
Oh
we
yeah.
have to remember their schedules are busy and
Oh yeah.
they're
They're
trying
always
to fit as
filming
much as
or
they can. They're trying to fit
yeah.
as much as they can, and they have to keep filming to obligate everything they've got in their schedule for
Yep.
so it's going to be busy
So
for everybody.
I know I have them all in my calendar. I'm like, which one do I want to go to? And I think it's gonna be MadCon. I think I'm
They're
gonna
all,
hit up
I'm
MadCon.
biased. I love MadCon because that's like the homecoming at the end of the year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
FCI last year, my God, that number tripled in attendance. It was insane. They're all becoming their own notorious Super Bowls.
Yeah.
ISS doubled, and they're all so good. It's hard if
I
I had to say one, but like, yeah, you got to experience every one of them at some point.
oh
They're
yeah.
just amazing. They're each their own recipe, and they're so good.
And for ISS Con this year, it's at Billy Creek during the day, and then the
During the day.
investigation is at ISS.
Correct. So, and we've been like there. I'm going to make some special announcements here of how we're going to do this because I want everyone to have the most amount of fun and the most amount of winning. We might be trying something a little different this year, which I will when I finalize that with Addie. I think we have something that everyone's going to really thoroughly enjoy. So, but it's one of those things. Everybody's got to try it. We've been doing this for a long time. We got really good at it. So, and we've raised a lot of money for all three places.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I will probably definitely be at MadCon.
MadCon. That is the mecca. That's the Super Bowl at the end of the year, and such a good energy to all these. Such a good energy. So many good people come through for this.
Whenever you go live from those events, I'm like, I want to be there. I want to be there. And then I'm like,
Yeah, the whole
once you
community, the whole
announce it,
underground's there.
I'm like, when you announce the dates, I'm like, I put those in the date in the calendar now, and we'll just like go from there because
It is.
ISS always
Yeah.
lands the weekend before Michigan, so that's always out.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
we've had cons pop up. I'm not sure about Michigan. I know there's been a few other properties that tried to mimic our dates. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't play
So
against us.
why compete? Like there's enough.
Yeah.
There's
We have our
52
dates
weeks
set.
in the year.
We have our dates. I don't know if it was Moundsville or somebody tried to like mimic the date, and then I heard it was a complete flop. I think they tried. Definitely don't do something on MadCon, and that's a warning shot to all the locations that want to do your big cons. Don't do it. I'll tell you right now. I will double down. I will quadruple down my chips. Do not play against MadCon because that is the Super Bowl of the underground. I don't
Well,
care what headliners you have at your con. They are not coming to your con. They're coming to MadCon. So
didn't last year you expand like the vendor area at MadCon? You had to even
had
get more
to,
parking and everything. Yeah.
I had county commissioners are amazing out there, Lake County commissioners. They allowed me to use the property next door. So we got that all handled. Got the event insurance for it to do that so we could extend. We had
Mhm.
to. It is growing exponentially.
So at these events, do people who pay like admission get to roam
Mhm.
the
Absolutely.
locations? Okay.
And that's something we'll clarify because I think a lot of people didn't understand that last year. It's $20 admission onto the property to get in, but you get a wristband. You can walk around the building all day if you want. Now the vendors are all outside, but that's unprecedented with the access, the price, everything. Like
Mhm.
I know some entries are crazy.
Oh yeah.
We have raffles going on all day. But
And
at
I hear
10
the
a.m.,
raffles are like
oh my,
amazing products, like
we have
fet boxes and stuff. I'm like, oh
Oh
boy.
yes.
I'm like, I've talked to Jeff. I'm like, I need a box, and he goes, I have a list of people in front of you. Sit back with me in 2024. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
he's not
want one
lying.
of his
He's not
boxes.
lying. He's not lying. He has such a line. And I told him we were talking, we were joking about that. I was like, man, we just got to get you going full time with this because he needs like an assembly line, a warehouse. His work is,
It's
oh my God,
amazing.
you can't
Like,
beat it. I don't care who
I,
else is out there. I'm sorry for hurting feelings. No
I will
one can.
wait. I will wait my turn and get a fat box because it's like I've seen yours in action on TikTok. I've seen a couple others. I'm like, I want one.
Can't,
And like I have a location out in Wisconsin that if I talk to the owner, he'll give me wood and it'll be a haunted box from
yeah,
Broadhead Manor. So
yeah. And that's, he easily can put the wood together and then that gets into stone tape theory again. Like you're taking the location, putting
yeah.
in the wood. It's like with the Elizabeth Styles box behind me. That's all wood from Madison. It's incredible. Like the idea, even the concept behind it is so cool. But
Well, yes, I will keep bugging him. I'll be like, "Can I have a box yet? Can I pay you for a box yet? Because I
yeah,
can
he'll
get you
start.
wood fast."
He'll start probably freeing up. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe just making that up. He's just been so slammed. He'll get around to it. He'll get around to it.
Put a
Jeff
good
always hits
word
his
for me
marks.
in. Put a good word for me in.
I
Yeah.
will. I'll put a good word in for you. I'll be like,
But yeah, I'm
but
super excited because I've heard that you guys added a what's a room in Madison that you just added with all the mirrors? I can't think of it.
the Devil's Toy Box.
The Devil's Toy Box. I will be doing an Estes method in there in May.
Yes.
I have a feeling.
So when Jeff and I get bored and we shouldn't be isolated for long periods of time, we were like talking and we're like, dude, we should make like a mirror room. And it really comes down to the concept and theory that, they're using the mirrors to travel. I'm not sure if I subscribe to any of that idea. Mirrors are just interesting, but we thought, why not spring the trap? Let's see. Let's see what happens if we make a room full of mirrors. And it is very interesting. So that is now a 6x6x6 structure at Madison Seminary, all mirrors. We're going to get the floor done because we have to do a special mirror for that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
as of right now, when you walk in and you close the door behind you, it is encapsulating mirrors all around you.
I'm gonna have to do a SS method in there and see what happens.
You should. You should.
Well, we'll have to definitely get you on again because this hour has turned into almost 2 hours, and I don't want to keep you
I
from
know.
everything that you have to do because I know you don't sleep.
Yeah, what's that, right?
Yeah, what's sleep? I don't know. You're probably at like Fairfield or Madison right now.
Yes. I actually went to the studio tonight to do some work.
At Fairfield?
But
or is it at Madison?
back towards Pittsburgh.
Oh.
So but I have to get back again soon, actually. Well, I'm going to be heading to Fairfield here in a few days. So Yeah, but definitely let's reconnect. I know
Yeah,
we'll say like soon, but it'll be like 3 years from now because of schedules, you know.
we won't
Let's
do
let's
2 years. I know.
let's re-meet at 2028. 2028 sound good? Yeah, no, let's do it
Yeah,
much sooner
right.
before that.
Well, I'll
So
hopefully see you in May, which is only crazy to
not too
think
far.
less than 3 months away.
But
That's
yes,
crazy.
absolutely. Thank you to everyone in the chat
Thank
as well. I
you.
was reading some of these comments. Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. But
And
thank you, Jenny. Thank
yeah,
you for
thank
having me.
you. So
Mhm.
hold on, don't leave. I'll give you a good thanks after we end the show. But everyone, thank you for coming on, listening to Adam and his ideas about the paranormal. We will definitely get him on again. Next week we have Ursula from Chicago talk about the Chicago hauntings. Super excited. But tomorrow night, Russ should be doing his show, Compass of Curiosities, with Brandon Johnson. He's the TikTok guy, I guess. I don't know. But we will see you all next week.